Hello. So today I'm in Piccadilly Circus in the centre of London, which is quite an unusual location for me to be doing a video about a B2B marketing event. But it's a fitting location because this is an event about creativity in B2B. Behind me, you can see the digital billboards at Piccadilly Circus, one of the most famous advertising locations, certainly in the UK, if not Europe and indeed the world. And it's also around the corner from Soho, which is traditionally where all the advertising agencies in London were. So a home of creativity there. So it's a fitting location for true agency. We're doing an event today on creativity in B2B, which is also something of Beck's subject. Most people agree it probably could be better, but at the same time, there's no magic formula for making it happen, and a lot of resistance towards doing it, a lot of objections and a lot of kind of intransigence. True, to be fair to them, they've always been an agency who pushed the boat out more than most in terms of making the case for creativity. And today's event, they're going to unveil a new framework for evaluating creativity, and we're going to hear from some leading B2B brands about how they've addressed that problem. So I'm really excited to hear what everyone's got to say, but let's go inside and hear all about it. So here with Richard Parsons, who's the CEO of True, is that right?
That's correct, yeah.
Okay, and we're here at the Picture House Central, right in downtown, middle of London, in a cinema.
Near Piccadilly, that's
Near Piccadilly, exactly right, in the heart of kind of creativity where all the big advertising boards are and near where the advertising gets made in Soho or has historically been made.
Yes.
It's a festival of creativity or a showcase of creativity today. Tell us why you've done this. What are you trying, what message are you trying to impart for everyone attending today?
This is actually our, we've been running these for a few years now, right. And at the end of the year, we always do a kind of a celebration of what we consider to be some of the best work. We always invite some really, really big brands to come along. This year we had Hiscox and Xero, who gave us those very, very high-profile campaigns. We also had Channel 4 in the room as part of a panel conversation because they've got a kind of a whole culture of creative effectiveness. We wanted to make sure that conversation was really, really had, because it's not just about the celebration of the work, but how you get to good work.
Yeah.
And as part of that, we also had a presentation in conjunction with System One. System One is a testing platform, a testing services company, where you can look at creativity and say, how is it going to have a long-term impact, the emotional, the connections with an audience, short-term sales, and also brand fluency, brand recognition. So we analysed some ads and we said, how are they likely to perform in the real world?
It was great fun to see those great examples, and it was lovely seeing the analysis in real time, what was happening. Well, recorded analysis in real time anyway.
Yes.
So the message is be more creative, B2B marketers. You don't have to be held back.
No, absolutely. And we want the whole B2B category to up its game. System One say that the poorest performing ads, that 76% of B2B ads are in that category, in a 5-category system. They're all at the number 1 position, the lowest position, 76%. So we want the whole of the industry, including ourselves, all our clients, prospects, other agencies, we want all to raise our game and try and get that number up on shifting to the right-hand side.
Like a fun rush with a jet plan. Search Xero with an X, because healthy business is beautiful business.
So I'm here with Tracy Smithers, who was part of the Xero team that launched very successfully in the UK, or built the brand over a number of years very successfully. And you did a great case study today, and you were talking about how you did that and some of the challenges you went through. And one of the comments you made, which was picked up by a question later on, was that you tried to outthink rather than outspend because there were a lot of bigger companies in the market with more established budgets. Tell us a bit about that.
Yeah, so they were outspending us about 5 times our budget. So we really couldn't even go there. Right. So we had to think about what media budget do we have? How do we spend it effectively and try and, first of all, create the awareness? So go big and bold to sort of get that level of awareness up and then keep it going. So that's when we thought about, again, pulsing that media spend. I think one of the other speakers spoke about that as well, using different channels to amplify, and also to be really smart with trying to anticipate where we could get excess share of voice. Yeah. So obviously we don't know what our competitors were going to be doing with their media plans, but we could look back historically.
So I'm here with Ed Berth, who is from Hiscox and has been responsible for the latest iterations of the long-running campaign you've been doing. Nobody uses billboard advertising like you guys do, and I've been quite often tweeted some of your stuff over the years. It's excellent stuff. You presented today, and I think the word that came into my mind, you were talking about what you were doing, you're showing examples, was playful. Your creativity is very playful. Would you recognise that as a description?
Yeah, I think that's a word I'm very happy with. I think I talked in the presentation about the body language, and that's a phrase I use quite a lot. I think a brand that can be playful is a brand that shows up with a confident body language that makes people think, okay, this is a brand that's, you know, got its mojo, that knows what it's doing, is feeling confident. So I link it to that.
Okay. But it's very important you can demonstrate that all the way back to the board in terms of effectiveness of these ads. And, you know, it's not just creativity for its own sake.
Exactly. And we started that conversation way before we got to a creative brief, or way before we presented any ads. We said, look, this is our ambition, but not ambition for ambition's sake. This is the data that we're basing it on. We made it quite a sort of a chunky business conversation that showed that we are a serious department, serious about effectiveness, and not just balloons and brochures, which is a sort of negative stereotype of some marketing departments.
And you are head of effectiveness at True, is that right?
I am indeed.
Great stuff. Today, the kind of key point of this was this session was you presenting this new framework for effectiveness and for creativity, more to the point, rather. Tell us a bit about this. How does this work?
Sure. So it's our creative scale. So it's essentially been developed. It's something that we've been using for a few years now to judge all of the ideas that come out of the agency, to take subjectivity out of the way ideas are judged. Creativity can be so subjective. It means different things to different people. And this becomes a common language. So there's consistency in how everyone speaks about creativity, but also how it's judged, but also helps us elevate the ambition of the creative ideas within the agency and within our client base as well. And we've opened it up to everyone that attended the event today as well. So,
right.
Yeah, so it ultimately is a scale from 1 to 8, from ideas at the bottom, which are damaging, they might erode brand credibility and trust, all the way up to ideas at the top end, which are fame driving, that might get shared, they might get covered by news outlets. Or at the top of the rung is the iconic campaigns that are kind of timeless and change culture and actually impact the industry.
And we'll put a link into this so you can explore it. It's actually, to be fair, I said explain it. It's pretty self-explanatory what it is.
Yeah.
And your point you made earlier on is that you think most B2B stuff is in 3 and 4. So stereotypical or routine. In other words, unremarkable, I suppose.
Yeah. So, I mean, you get so much, you see categories just looking very much like where all the brands look very similar.
Yeah.
And it's that old idea that you could swap out the logo and you wouldn't know which brand it is other than maybe kind of a font or a kind of a brand color. Then you have ideas that are routine. They're much more ownable for the brand. They might have like a really distinct look and feel and a distinct message, but they still feel quite safe and expected and safe is how it's described. Or we say that they get noticed, but they're easily forgotten. I think that in some cases you can have really good production values in that routine space, but ultimately it's still routine and it's not something that maybe gets that emotional response, like making people smile, like the Hiscox work, for example, which has that real standout memorability built into it.
And how much do you see in 7 and 8? Fame driving and iconic in B2B, that is.
Yeah, I mean, not that much in iconic.
Apart from your own stuff, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, we've done some work. I don't think we've done much that I put in an 8. Maybe like the description really is to leave a lasting impact on an industry. And one of our campaigns was changing expectations in IT service levels from service level agreements to experience level agreements. And that got captured and got covered. And that's become like the industry vernacular now off the back of that campaign. So you could argue that created a lasting impact on the industry. Maybe didn't have enough media spin behind it to make it, you think of it as iconic. But I think in the terms of that category, I'd say it was an iconic campaign in that respect. But I mean, campaigns like the Fearless Girl from State Street Global Advisors, that is a little girl, a statue. It was a fund to promote female leadership in businesses. That statue is still there today. That's an iconic B2B campaign. Then you've got iconic campaigns like the Van Damme splits. These are things that leave a lasting impression. They're timeless campaigns. And so, yeah, those are just a few examples. But I'd say there's quite a few that sit in the fame driving.
I think it's great to be able to know what you're aiming for. So have a scale for this, and so it's very helpful. So well done. Congratulations on this, and congratulations on a great event.
Great. Thank you very much.
Cheers, Cos.
Thanks.